In the United States, nearly 1 in 3 adults over the age of 70 suffers from sarcopenia, a silent loss of muscle that leads to weakness, falls, and a quiet kind of helplessness. That number shocked me the first time I read it, but what startled me even more, many of them still think eating more eggs is the answer. My name is Hiroko. I'm 84 years old, and I live in a small town just outside Kyoto. I still sweep the garden every morning, kneel to prepare tea, and walk to the market twice a week. Not because I am strong, but because I have learned how to stay strong. In Japan, we eat a special kind of protein that most Americans have never tried. It doesn't come from animals. It smells a little odd, and it's sticky. But after eating it nearly every day for decades, I truly believe it has helped me keep my muscles, my balance, and my energy. Before we begin, I'd love to know, where are you watching this from, and what time is it for you right now? Please let me know in the comments below. I truly look forward to reading them. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss what's coming next. My story. From weakness to strength, one bowl at a time, I wasn't always this steady on my feet. When I was 71, I remember standing up too quickly one afternoon and almost falling over. My knees had become shaky. My arms, once strong enough to carry baskets of vegetables, now trembled after holding a teacup too long. I thought, maybe it's just aging. Maybe this is how it goes. But deep inside, I felt something wasn't right. I wasn't just getting older, I was losing something. One day, my granddaughter came to visit from Tokyo. She brought me a simple gift, a small pack of natto, fermented soybeans. "Grandma, this is what I eat every morning," she said. "It helps me feel strong during long work days." I laughed at first. I had eaten natto before, of course. Most Japanese people grow up with it, but I never saw it as anything more than a humble breakfast food. Still, that night, I ate a small bowl before bed. The next morning, I felt not different, but curious, so I kept eating it every day, sometimes with rice, sometimes mixed with a raw egg. Within a few weeks, I noticed something subtle, less fatigue, better sleep, and most surprising of all, my muscles didn't ache as much after gardening or walking. I began to read more. I learned that natto is rich in plant-based protein, vitamin K2, and powerful enzymes like nattokinase that help blood flow and reduce inflammation. It wasn't just folk wisdom. It was backed by science. And the more I ate it, the more I trusted it. No one in my generation talks much about muscle. We talk about bones, joints, maybe blood pressure. But the truth is, without strong muscles, none of those other things work well. Muscles are what let us stay independent. They're what let us stand up from the futon without help, walk to the train station, hug our grandchildren. Natto became more than food. It became my quiet ally, helping me fight the slow drift of aging. And that's what I want to share with you today. Not just the science, but the simplicity of a daily habit that changed my life. Why muscles fade faster after 70, and why most people don't notice until it's too late. When I was in my 60s, I used to think the real problems of aging were things like high blood pressure or stiff knees, but I've come to understand something more invisible and far more dangerous. It's the gradual loss of muscle that sneaks up on us. Science has a name for it, sarcopenia. But in real life, it looks like this. An old friend of mine, Mrs. Tanaka, slowly stopped going to the market. At first, it was just the slope in front of her house that made her tired. Then it was her arms that got too weak to carry groceries. One day, she told me she couldn't open a jar anymore. The sad part? She didn't even notice it happening. Most of us don't. Muscle loss after 70 is like a silent drift, stealing just a little bit each week. You're still eating, still sleeping, maybe even walking, but the body isn't holding on to strength the way it used to. After the age of 70, our bodies become resistant to the signals that build muscle. Even if we eat enough protein, our muscle cells don't respond as strongly. Doctors call this anabolic resistance. I call it the reason so many elders fade away despite trying their best. It's not just about looking fit or being strong. Muscle is your engine. It keeps your balance, supports your joints, and helps regulate blood sugar. Even your immune system is connected to muscle health. Without muscle, the whole system slows down, physically and emotionally. In Japan, there's a proverb, if the legs go, life follows. We say this not out of fear, but as a gentle reminder, because when you can no longer stand with confidence, you begin to lose access to the world outside your door. I've seen many people try to fix this by eating more meat or by adding extra eggs to their breakfast. But they forget, it's not just how much protein you eat, but how your body can use it. That's why I turned to the foods of my ancestors, foods designed to work with the aging body, not against it. I'll tell you more about those soon. But first, let me share why I stopped relying on eggs as my main source of protein, and what I learned instead. Why eggs may not be the best protein after 70, and what most people get wrong about them. Eggs have always had a good reputation. They're easy to cook, full of protein, and affordable. For many older adults in America, and even here in Japan, they feel like the perfect food. Soft on the stomach, packed with nutrients. Familiar. I, too, ate eggs almost every day. Scrambled in the morning, boiled in soups, sometimes mixed raw into rice with a bit of soy sauce. They were comforting. But after I turned 73, something strange happened. I noticed I was still feeling weak, even though I was eating well. I wasn't skipping meals. I wasn't under stress. I was getting enough sleep. Still, my arms felt soft. My thighs ached after a short walk. So I began to wonder, was the protein I was eating actually working? I spoke to a young dietitian at the community center in Kyoto. She told me something I had never heard before. As we age, our bodies become more selective. Not all proteins are absorbed equally well. Eggs are high in quality protein, yes, but for someone in their 70s or 80s, the body may not absorb it as effectively as it once did. She explained how digestion slows down. Enzymes don't work as quickly, and without a small spike in muscle-stimulating signals, what scientists call leucine threshold, the body may not even begin the process of muscle repair. Eggs are rich, but they don't always reach that threshold for older adults unless paired carefully with other nutrients or physical activity. Also, some people in my community began to experience discomfort from too many eggs, slower digestion, bloating, even concerns about cholesterol. Though modern research has eased some of those worries. Still, it reminded me, what works at 40 doesn't always work at 80. That's when I began to shift my focus. Instead of thinking about protein in general, I started asking, what kind of protein does my body want now? What does it hear best? That question led me back to our traditional foods. Humble, fermented, simple, and that's how I found a new strength. Not from something fancy, but from something sticky, smelly, and to me, sacred. Next, I'll tell you about the protein that changed everything for me and why it works so well, even better than eggs after 70. The Japanese protein that works better than eggs, natto, and fermented plant protein When I was a child growing up in the countryside, we didn't have much. But every morning, no matter how cold or busy the day ahead, my grandmother would prepare the same simple breakfast. A bowl of rice, some pickled vegetables, miso soup, and a small serving of natto. She never called it healthy. She just said, it helps your legs stay strong. I didn't understand then. I thought she just liked the taste. But now, in my 80s, I understand she was passing down something far deeper than flavor. She was sharing a quiet tradition of strength. Natto is a traditional Japanese food made from soybeans, fermented with a unique bacteria called Bacillus subtilis. It's sticky, stringy, and has a strong smell that makes many people, especially outside Japan, turn away before even tasting it. But that stickiness, that smell, that's the power. What makes natto special isn't just the plant-based protein, though that alone is important. As we age, our kidneys work harder, and some older adults need to reduce animal protein. Natto gives the body high-quality protein in a gentle, plant-based form, which can help maintain muscle without overloading the system. But there's more. The fermentation process breaks down the soybeans so the nutrients become easier to absorb. That's essential for people like us, whose digestion isn't as strong as it used to be. I often say, I no longer eat like I'm 40, so I shouldn't digest like I'm 40 either. Natto is also one of the richest natural sources of vitamin K2, which helps direct calcium into the bones and away from arteries. Many elders worry about both osteoporosis and heart disease. K2 supports both at once. In a way, it's a quiet multitasker, just like the elders of my generation. And then there's nattokinase, a natural enzyme found only in natto. Researchers in Japan and abroad have found that nattokinase may help prevent blood clots, lower blood pressure, and improve circulation, all crucial for people over 70. I think of it as a gentle river, keeping everything flowing where it should. When I was 73, I started eating natto every morning again, just 3 tablespoons. At first, I had to get used to it again. It's a food that asks for patience. But after 2 weeks, I noticed something. Less soreness after walking, less stiffness in the morning, a sense of being more alive in my arms and legs. I shared this with my walking group, and one by one, others began trying it. Some mixed it with chopped scallions and soy sauce. Others added raw egg or stirred it into hot rice. Within a month, we noticed not just physical changes, but emotional ones too. We felt more connected to ourselves, to each other, and to the generations before us. In Japanese culture, food is not just about nutrition. We have a word, shokuiku. It means food education, but it's really about learning how to respect what nourishes you. Natto may be humble, but it embodies that spirit. So yes, eggs are fine. But if you ask me what works better after 70, what speaks more clearly to the aging body, I will always say, this bowl of fermented soybeans that smells like home, sticks to your chopsticks, and strengthens your bones, muscles, and heart in silence. And in that silence, there is power. How to eat natto the Japanese way and make it delicious and effective for muscle health. I understand natto can be intimidating. It smells strong. It strings like melted cheese, but cold and sticky. Even many young Japanese people don't love it right away. But just like a good friendship, natto becomes better with time. Let me tell you how I eat it, and how you can enjoy it in a way that supports your strength, especially after 70. First, I always choose fresh, refrigerated natto, not frozen if possible. The fermentation is alive, and you want to keep those beneficial bacteria strong. Most come in small packs, perfect for a single serving, about 50 grams or 3 tablespoons. I open the pack and stir the beans with chopsticks. At least 30 seconds, sometimes more. The more you stir, the more the sticky threads appear, and this activates certain enzymes and changes the flavor slightly, making it milder. That's something most people don't know. It's like waking the natto up. Then comes the flavor. I add a splash of low-sodium soy sauce, a dab of karashi mustard if I want heat, and a topping. Some days it's chopped scallions, other days a sprinkle of sesame seeds or grated daikon radish. On colder mornings, I add a spoonful of warm rice and mix it all into a small bowl. If I'm feeling tired, I'll crack a quail egg on top. The richness blends beautifully. Some elders in my walking group enjoy mixing natto into miso soup. The warmth softens the texture and makes it easier to digest. One woman adds it to her morning oatmeal with a little seaweed. Strange, but she swears it helps her knees feel less stiff. Here's the secret. Don't force yourself to like it all at once. Start with a small bite, maybe just a teaspoon. Let your mouth learn. Let your body listen. Over time, you'll start to feel the difference, not just in taste, but in how you move. To make it most effective for muscle health, I eat my natto in the morning, within an hour of light movement, like walking or stretching. That's when your muscles are most ready to hear the protein. Think of it as fuel meeting fire. Movement wakes the muscles and natto feeds them. It's also important to eat it consistently, not once a week, but a little each day, like watering a plant. Small effort, steady care. Some people ask if supplements can replace natto. Maybe, but they miss the ritual, the flavor, the connection. Eating natto is a way to tell your body, I am still investing in you. So if you try it, be patient. Stir slowly. Add your own flavors. And maybe, like me, you'll begin to look forward to that little bowl each morning. Not just for your body, but for your spirit. Comparing natto and eggs, what science says, and what aging bodies need most. Let me be clear, eggs are not the enemy. They are a good food. But when we reach a certain age, we must ask, not only, is this healthy? But also, is this what my body needs now? Let's look closely. Both eggs and natto are rich in protein. A large egg has about 6 grams of protein. 50 grams of natto, the amount in a single serving, has around 8 grams. So in terms of raw protein, they are very close. But the difference is in what happens after you eat them. Eggs are an animal-based protein, which usually means they're easier to absorb. But for people over 70, things change. Our bodies process animal proteins differently. Digestion slows. Some older adults find they feel heavier, bloated, or sluggish after eating too many eggs. Others worry about cholesterol or the saturated fat, especially if they eat more than one per day. Natto, on the other hand, is fermented and plant-based. Fermentation does 2 magical things. It breaks down the soybeans, making them easier to digest, and it activates beneficial compounds like vitamin K2 and nattokinase that support bone and heart health. In fact, studies in Japan have shown that people who eat natto regularly have lower rates of bone fractures and better vascular health, 2 critical issues for aging bodies. One long-term study even found that women who ate natto daily had denser bones than those who didn't, despite having similar calcium intake. And while eggs give you protein, they don't offer K2 in meaningful amounts. Natto is one of the only foods in the world that naturally provides high doses of this vitamin, which helps keep calcium in the bones and out of the arteries. That alone makes natto a unique ally in aging. So which is better? For a young athlete, maybe eggs, but for someone over 70 who wants to keep their muscles, protect their bones, and care for their heart, natto offers a deeper, more tailored support. It's not just food, it's function, tradition, and healing in a single bowl. And that's why I no longer eat eggs every day, but I never skip my morning natto. Gentle movements that help your body use protein better. After 70, when I was younger, I believed strength came only from food. You eat your protein, and the muscles grow. Simple. But after I passed 70, I began to feel a change. Even when I ate the right things, fish, tofu, even eggs, and natto, my body didn't respond the way it used to. I felt slower to recover. My legs stayed sore longer. My posture softened. I started reading, asking questions. And what I learned surprised me. After 70, the body needs more than just protein. It needs a signal to use it. Without movement, the protein just becomes fuel for the day. But with movement, it becomes muscle. That's when I began building small moments of movement into my day, not as a workout, but as a whisper to my body. A way of saying, you are still strong. You are still growing. I walk every morning, not far, just around the block. If it rains, I walk in place near the window. Just 10 to 15 minutes is enough to wake up the joints, warm the core, and tell the muscles, it's time to pay attention. After walking, I eat my natto. That timing matters. Studies show that muscles are more responsive to protein within an hour after light exercise. It's like preparing the soil before you plant the seed. Throughout the day, I keep moving. I do gentle leg lifts while watching the news, lifting one leg slowly, holding it for 5 seconds, then switching sides. I do this 5 times each leg. It helps strengthen my thighs and support my balance, especially when climbing stairs or standing from a low chair. At night, before bed, I practice hara breathing. It's a technique from old Japanese traditions. I sit comfortably, place one hand on my belly, and breathe in slowly for 4 counts. I hold the breath for 2, then exhale for 6. This quiet breathing calms the nervous system, helps digestion, and encourages the body to repair muscles during sleep. None of this is difficult. None of it requires special clothes or equipment, but together, these small actions form a kind of rhythm, a conversation between food and movement. So tomorrow, start with 1 step, 1 breath, 1 stretch. Your body, even now, is listening and waiting for your next move. If someone had told me 10 years ago that a bowl of sticky beans and a few quiet stretches could change how I age, I might have smiled politely and said nothing. But now, at 84, I say it with certainty. Small things matter. A bowl of natto, a deep breath, a walk to the mailbox, a moment of care for your body, spoken not with fear, but with love. Aging is not a failure. It is a return to simplicity, to presence, to the quiet strength we carry inside. And when we give our bodies what they truly need, not just calories, but support, they often surprise us with what they can still do. You are not too old to grow stronger, not too late to feel steadier, and never too far gone to begin again, gently, patiently, with one small change. So tomorrow, stir that natto, Take that step. Stretch that leg. Not for perfection, but for possibility. And if you do, please tell me in the comments. I'd love to know what you're trying, what you're feeling, and how you're moving. We're not just eating to live longer, we're living to feel fuller. And that, my friend, is a beautiful place to begin.